I am now 9 months post-op for my ACDF surgery, and in this episode I'm going to talk all about weight gain and how to lose that excess weight that you put on and that I put on after ACDF surgery. So join me, Amy Giaquinto, Mama Fix It, as I take you on a journey of weight loss. So let's talk about how I gained that weight, because the how is really important, okay? So after ACDF surgery, I couldn't eat a whole lot because I couldn't swallow real well. So my diet went to liquids. At that point, I was just trying to maintain calories, so whatever would go in and stay in ended up being what I was consuming, like chocolate soy milk, chocolate chips, soft foods, mostly smoothies. Okay, that was okay. I was actually losing weight when I was eating like that. Not the best diet plan. I would prefer to chew my food, thank you very much. I also prefer to eat whatever I wanted, thank you very much. After that, I finally began to introduce like chewable foods, and I was walking regularly. Everything seemed to be on track to maintain weight. But then, then I got really depressed, and there was a lot of emotional eating that started happening, and transitioning yourself off of chocolate chips and chocolate milk and onto a way more nutritious diet is really hard, especially when your swallowing still isn't back to normal. So I'm not entirely sure that I did not develop a little bit of disordered eating. Well, let's call it a lot of disordered eating at the time. Not only was it emotional not being able to get out and see and do things that I really wanted to do and be active, it was lonely, it's isolating. People don't quite understand the journey that you have to make when you go through this surgery, especially the farther out from the surgery you get, when you're still healing, but you don't look like you're injured anymore. That was challenging for me. I had a lot of stuff going on at home with my kids, so yes, there was a lot of emotional eating there, not gonna lie. That is probably the #1 cause of weight gain, to be honest. Whenever you have any kind of surgery that has a prolonged recovery period, you're going to lose muscle. But with ACDF surgery, it's particularly challenging because you are not allowed to do a lot of things for a very long time. I was in the neck brace for 3 months, and then when I got that off, had to still be extremely careful about my movements and what I did, and I was very, very stiff, very, very sore. So what all of this leads to is a major loss of muscle mass from head to toe. So despite the fact that I was walking every day as far as I could manage, and I was on a stationary bike, I was still losing muscle because I could not maintain that muscle through normal activities that were light activities that were approved by my neurosurgeon. That became a real challenge. And even when I got the collar off, I was still super stiff, and I had trouble with moving, and other body parts were hurting. And so it was really challenging trying to do any kind of lightweight workout without hurting something. Muscle at rest burns energy. Calories are that energy. When you burn more calories or more energy than you consume during the day, you lose weight. But when you lose muscle mass and your fat cells plump up, those fat cells do not burn energy at rest. They just take up space and like to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because you may be still eating the same amount of food during the day. You might be eating world's healthiest diet, but because those muscle cells that are like the fat burners, there are fewer of them, and there are bigger fat cells, guess what? You are not burning the same amount of calories at rest as you were before surgery. So it's very, very, very important to take that into account when you're recovering and when you're noticing the scale going up, 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 and away. The last thing you want is extra weight, because extra weight makes it harder to move. And when it's harder to move, it makes it really hard to lose weight. It also puts extra pressure on all your joints. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The third thing to keep in mind is the fact that this is a brutal surgery from an emotional standpoint. Mine was an emergency surgery, so literally overnight, boom, my life changed forever. I will not ever be able to go back to doing some of the activities that I love to do. And that's really hard to process. Not only that, but while I was recovering, I had several other injuries pop up and joint pain and stuff like that that I've had to go through physical therapy to deal with. And that's stressful. The medical bills are stressful. I'm still having to like be a mom and do all the mom things that you need to do. And that's stressful. And being a wife. I love being a wife and a mom, but it's both stressful too. And like all of the stresses are in addition to trying to manage all the stuff that's happening with your ACDF recovery, including prolonged physical therapy appointments, massage appointments, acupuncture appointments, you name it, whatever you need to do to get your body back to where it was. That's a lot of work. The other thing I found too was that it's really, really isolating when you are trying to recover from an injury like this, because you get to a point in your recovery with which everybody thinks you're back to normal, and they expect that you can do all these cool things that you used to do, but you're nowhere near back to normal. I'm still growing bone at 9 months out. I might still be growing bone for another 3 months or for another year and 3 months. Who knows? That's where the emotional struggle comes in too. Plus there's probably a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder in there too because of the quick bam surgery. And I think surgery can cause a lot of PTSD in people in general, especially people who've never had surgeries before or are having emergency surgery. So that's also something that can contribute to the emotional mess that is your head after ACDF surgery. So what's that lead to? Emotional eating. It can also lead to depression, anxiety, and that can lead to not having the desire to get up and move your body and to just sit on the couch and just kind of give up. The ironic thing about all of this stress and about moving less is that the less you move, the more stress you have and the worse you are at taking care of your stress. So it's this inverse relationship, but you get caught in this ugly, ugly cycle and then you just kind of crash out and it's bad. So if you're in that place, know that I understand and it's okay for you to be in that place. Let's just dig ourselves out of it. Let's just say, you know what? Today's a new day and I'm gonna start fresh, and you know what? I've got this. I'm gonna do this. I'm committed to losing weight. The biggest issue with weight gain, especially weight gain that has come on overnight, don't worry, it was only 9 months, but it feels like overnight, is that we're often feeling like there's something to blame for this weight gain. It's not us, okay? Can't be us, right? Can't be what we're eating. Can't be the fact that this surgery was incredibly stressful. Can't be the fact that we've just lost muscle and need to rebuild that, right? It absolutely has to be something else. And that something else is either hormones or your thyroid or something in your water or something in your food or some chemicals or blah, 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 whatever. Well, my advice there is go to your doctor, have some labs run. It is possible for ACDF surgery to cause problems with your thyroid. If they bump it or irritate it, you might have some thyroid damage. The odds of that, though, are slim, very, very slim. I think I looked it up. It was something like, I don't want to be wrong with the numbers, but 3% or less of people who undergo this surgery have an issue with their thyroid. So, and some of that may have been a thyroid condition from before that was caught after surgery. So very, very rare. But have your thyroid looked at anyway. You should also have just regular labs drawn. I found out that one of the reasons I was so tired all the time after the surgery was because I was iron deficient, I was deficient in B12, I was deficient in vitamin D, which is probably why all my joints were hurting nonstop. And so addressing those key deficiencies has really helped increase my energy level. I also had the doctor run a thyroid test. And I was just convinced that it was my thyroid that was acting up and not allowing me to lose weight. But it was not. The biggest problem with all of these mentalities is that when we gain weight, we're always looking to blame something or somebody else for that weight gain. Why not just take ownership of it and be like, yeah, you know, this friggin' sucks. This is my body right now. Whatever caused me to gain the weight is probably stress from the surgery, loss of muscle mass, and there probably are some hormonal changes too for those of us women out there of a certain age, and the fact that there's emotional eating going on. Once I decided to do that, I felt a huge sense of relief. I'm like, okay, everything's normal in my body right now. Now it's time to attack the problem head on. And I hope you can do that too. Journal about it. Write me some comments down below. Let me know what you're gonna do to kind of take ownership of the problem and be like, yeah, you know, kind of screwed up here, but it's not the end of the world. We can get through it. I've seen the other side, I promise you. I have seen it, it's great. It's a lot of work, but we'll get there. After the age of 25, did you know you lose about a ½ pound of muscle per year? Isn't that just crazy? That muscle is like your fire. It's what burns calories. It's what causes those fat cells to go and shrink and stay small. But after age of 25, we're losing some of that. So naturally, our bodies are starting to go, whoa, the fat cells are expanding. And then you add surgery onto it and the rapid muscle loss that comes after surgery, and suddenly your ability to burn energy has decreased almost exponentially. At least that's what it feels like, right? So that is what is going on and why you're not burning as many calories as you should be. So what do you think the key component to any program should be when you're coming back from a surgery? Building muscle. You absolutely have to rebuild the muscle that you had before the surgery and add some more muscle onto it, because doing that will increase your metabolism, or the amount of calories you are going to be burning at rest, and that will help you lose weight. The more muscle you have, the quicker your weight loss. So you focus on muscle building exercises. But that's hard after ACDF surgery when some of your joints, if they're like mine, were falling apart and things were really, really hurting. So I want to take you through some simple exercises that I have been doing and talk about my exercise routine and how I am now dropping weight again, like I did when I was a personal fitness trainer. I hope you found this video helpful. I would really like you to go and journal about your emotional eating habits, what you're eating in a day and why, because those behaviors are really important for you to know. I want you to make sure you check with your doctor about trying to lose weight, because even some of the medications you're on can help prevent you from losing weight. I mean, there are certain medications that don't allow you to get your heart rate over a certain level, and there are other medications that slow down muscle growth. So definitely check with your provider. Once you've ruled out all of the excuses for not losing weight, take ownership. Look at that ugly number on the scale. I know it sucks, but just look at it, write it down, and say, hey, number, you're just a number. You don't define who I am, and we are going to fix this because we know how to fix this. Or you will know how after you keep watching my videos. I am Amy Giaquinto. I am Mama Fix It. I'm wishing you all the best in your ACDF recovery process. For now, do a lot of journaling. Drop me a line in the comments below. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what your crazy eating stories were or your weight gain stories, because I would love to hear about them. I also like feeling like I'm not quite so alone in this weird journey. I mean, for crying out loud, I was a personal fitness trainer and a health and fitness writer. I should have known how to deal with this without putting on a single pound. But alas, here I am. I'm fessing up to it for the whole world to see. Stay tuned. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the challenges that I have faced with returning to exercise and more vigorous exercise after ACDF surgery, and how to get in really good muscle building exercise when you are really restricted or you have other joints that hurt. I'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day. And go take a walk. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Go take a walk. Bye.